especially as a man, because we're taught to think that our self-worth is in our money, you know? So if your business is what makes your money and your money is what your self-worth is, then if you start making money, your self-worth goes up. And if your money goes down, your self-worth goes down, right? But you need to be able to challenge that to be able to problem solve. So, yeah. It looks so much more clean. Man, how you doing though, bro?
Man, that's like when like someone asks,
question?
Yeah, when someone asks me like, yo, how I'm doing, and this is just like a general feeling. It should be I know you care, but some people don't even care. It's just like a byproduct of asking you, yo, how are you doing? It's more of like a filler towards getting to the actual conversation. And I had bare people who always like, yo, how you doing? And the thing is, I go in, I'm like, yo, you know what? I'm feeling like this, and that. And then I catch myself and I realize I'm like, man, I'm giving away way too much to like how I'm really doing. And then the other side is like, if I give you the standards, yeah, I'm okay. It's just like, it goes through one ear, not the other. So I need to find like a happy balance of saying, hey, this is what's going on, but I'm good. But you know what? Times are turbulent, but I'm okay. It's more genuine, it's honest, but it doesn't like say too much.
Mm-hmm. No, most definitely. A lot of people just don't care, but I care. You know what I'm saying?
Man, like,
how is Owen
cares.
doing?
Man, I'm doing great, yo.
What's good with you, fam?
My cousin Carlito is coming down. It's his birthday. It was his birthday last week, but then we're gonna like get together at my sister's crib and just like have a 1-2 drink and just chill out, bro. And just chill out. I actually just bought him like a little bottle, like a little box bottle. So he's coming through like later on in the evening. It's gonna be like a party. Nice.
Most definitely. All right, cool. So before we get into it, let's introduce the podcast, man. Hello and welcome to Us Over Everything podcast. We're your host. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen.
And this is the Hustle Everything podcast, where you receive stories, tips, and strategies from entrepreneurs who've done it. Today on the podcast, we have a wildcard episode. For those who don't know, that's when we just kick back and talk and chill and really just chop it up with one another. So yeah, man, let's get into it, man. I'm excited. No guests today.
This is where we get our drinks. You're sipping on a cavi mixed with tea. How's that mixture like, by the way?
Yes, I am. Man, it is fantastic. So it's a cavi, tea. What is it? It's not just any tea. It's a Bengali chai. So it has like a nutty flavor to it. So it kind of like goes into like the cinnamons, that kind of flavor. And then I put a little bit of like soy creamer in it. So give it a warm sensation, and then it made iced tea. So of course it's an iced drink. So it's flavorful. I'm happy. It's a good thing.
That's a perfect potting drink. It gets you sitting back, your thoughts, and just like spitting those words, bro.
It's a chill drink for sure, without a doubt. So yeah, man. How you doing? You good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Blessed and highly favored.
Fantastic.
Yeah. How about you, man?
I'm good. I just finished therapy. I literally just finished.
Yes, I was gonna ask you about that. How was that?
Man, it was good. One thing that came up that I thought was very important was a bullshit list.
A bullshit list.
Yeah, a bullshit list. It's when you write down the emotions that you feel that hold you back, that bullshit you, and you take inventory of them. So when they come up in your day-to-day life, you can have awareness of that coming up and say, hey, this is a bullshit feeling. Let me put it to the back of my mind, or let me at least not put it to the back, but let me actually feel it and erase that shit from my day so I can continue on, And yeah, I think that was very important as an entrepreneur, because there's so many feelings that come up when fires happen and you feel all types of ways, but you need to be able to deal with that, to get to that next step. So having that list, I think, is going to be very important for me. Very important. So I'm excited about that.
especially you now as you're transitioning into building with media, building your client list and everything. It's like you're in like your own island, and there's no one. You have to hold yourself accountable. You have to do everything on your own. So there's a lot of thoughts, doubts, self-belief, especially like as we talk about entrepreneurship, right? You're going on this narrow road where it's very lonely, and you're looking for the light in front of you. Like it's dark. I'm like, okay, where's that next light? Let me follow it. And then you pass that light, then it's darkness again. Then you got to find the next light. And in that path, doing that to find the next light, there's so many convoluted ideas and thoughts which like make you doubt yourself, which make you feel as if you're inadequate, that you're not going to be worth of the task, right?
Yeah.
And talking about like, I think this transitions well into, talking about therapy and entrepreneurship, bro. Like, how has that really helped you with like your state of mind and your frame of mind with how you approach your business?
Man, it's helped me. Like, I couldn't put a dollar on it. That's been super helpful. I think this podcast, my network has helped me immensely. It keeps you accountable. It keeps you in tuned. You can get, people call it monkey brain, where you're all over the place mentally and you're starting to feel overwhelmed and you don't have anywhere to dump all this feeling, somewhere. So being in therapy has definitely helped me become a better entrepreneur, because you need to be able to process and deal with your emotions. Entrepreneurship is, I think, like 80% mental. The discipline you have, your ability to problem solve, your ability to deal with people's emotions. Not only does it help me deal with my emotions, but it helps me deal with other people's emotions as well, right? Because you need to understand what people are going through, and when you train yourself, it helps you learn what others are doing as well, what others are experiencing, so you can see yourself and others, to have empathy, to be able to say, all right, they're doing this, now this is how I can react to it to help them, especially with clients. People are dealing with a lot with COVID-19, a lot with this pandemic. So in order to help them best, you need to come from an empathetic standpoint. So being able to actually talk to that has been super helpful. So yeah, therapy, I couldn't suggest it more to anybody. And as well, my saying, your business is not your self-worth. And that is a consistent thing. Phrase. So, that consistently happens with me, where I start putting my self-worth in my business. And it's just a constant battle to not do that, especially as a man, because we're taught to think that our self-worth is in our money. So if your business is what makes your money, and your money is what your self-worth is, then if you start making money, your self-worth goes up, and if your money goes down, your self-worth goes down, right? But you need to be able to challenge that to be able to problem solve. So, yeah.
So talking about self-worth, right? If you are an entrepreneur, because every single thing that you do every single day is tied to your business. This is your calling. This is what you do. This is what you're creating. So it's super hard to detach yourself from that, because it's what's on your mind every single day, and it takes on your identity. How do you suggest someone to detach their self-worth from their business, and what should they attach their worth to? Because if that's what you're building yourself from, it, like, just to like offer you some like, other side of the spectrum. If I'm coming from nothing and I'm using my guide towards building something to build up myself, to build up my worth in life, to be seen as a person of status, now you're saying don't attach your self-worth to that. How do you detach yourself when that is what makes you who you are? That's what makes your brand. That's what makes you who you are across everybody. And it's what's like made you happy, because it's allowed you to provide for your family. It's allowed you to provide for yourself and build a future.
Your business is not what makes you happy. It's the result of it what makes you happy. If I spend 10 minutes with my mom, that's going to make her happy. That's not my business. I've created something that can give people happiness, and the result of that can bring me happiness. The business itself does not make me happy. So, and with that standard, when people give you praise for your business, or when your business is making money, your self-worth can be attached to that, and that will inflate it. But when your stock makes money, then your self-worth will, decrease. Mm-hmm. So it puts yourself at a vulnerable state, because if you do that, then as soon as you make a bad decision, which will happen, it's inevitable. You're going to make a bad decision in your business. You're going to take it out. Then your self-worth is going to start flying down, and you can't manage to have that. So that's where I think you need to think about is what defines me as a person. It's not just the business. It could be a part of it, but it's not just that. It's how are you as a family person? How are you as a friend? How are you as, a partner? Those are the overall things. It's a holistic thing that makes you as a person. It's not just one aspect of it, because then, when you are retired and your business is done and you sell your business, then what? You just sold yourself, mm-hmm. right? So that's the things that I think people need to think about, is who they are, both in and outside of your business. Yeah. That can provide the context to not have your business as your self-worth. So
yeah, even just to share my side of things on that. And I've said this story, I think I said it last year or early on when we were starting like the podcast together, the transition from going to Sneaker Deck and then moving to what's next. And remember, like I was going through like this e-commerce phase with these different, these B-Stock at the time, Living Crate. But at the time when Sneaker Deck stopped, I was in this feeling of, I felt naked, meaning that I felt exposed, meaning like I could not see myself as, what else do I have to offer other than being in business or being an entrepreneur? And it was so hard for me to adjust. And I remember this feeling of restlessness. I was in my room, like, this is back in the Casimir days in the basement, me and like my roommates and everything. And it's summer. I have nothing to work on. Everybody's doing their thing. I'm like working a good life. And I'm like, man, is this what it's all about? Because school's over. And now I'm just working my part-time job at Good Life. And I'm here at home. And I'm thinking like, Rod, like, what is it that I'm about? And that's when I started feeling this pressure of creating something. And I was creating with things that were not really in line with what makes me happy. Like I was just in line with like, okay, I need a business to make me feel as if like I'm important or I have worth or I'm seen as still someone who's building and grinding. And looking back from where I'm at right now and back then, I was like, man, I could have easily just taken a break and taken a step back and really thought things through. And it's those bad decisions of going in it. I remember I told you like I spent like thousands of dollars on e-commerce and ads when I shouldn't have just like, sat on that quid and like thought about what to do next. It could have been the podcast. It could have been investing in this, but that's here nor there because you need to go through those lessons to learn. But it taught me that feeling where I felt like so sad. I felt like, man, I felt like a failure too, bro, because I'd started like several businesses and none of them had like even like remotely, like Sneaker Deck was a success, but the image I had seen of success of what it could have been was not there. So I was attaching my worth to that. So when it dropped down, and like, of course, like winning the awards, winning everything, I was like, Rod, like, how do I bounce back from this? Right. And that's what gave me that pressure to like, okay, let's launch this e-commerce site. Let's start this e-commerce business. Or not that I hate e-commerce, but I just felt like it wasn't connecting to me. It felt like I was, forcing it. Like when I was talking about power versus force, power comes from within, meaning like you're true to like your beliefs and you're working through that. And then force is like you're just trying to fit like a square in a circle. And that's what I was doing. Because as what you're saying, man, like I was attaching my worth to something that like business to who I am. Like Owen Osende, if you say anywhere, oh, that guy's a grinder, he's a hustler, he's a whatever. Like, but who am I outside of that? And I think through this podcast, it's like been allowing me to reflect on that and also like figure out like what more do I have to offer other than business? What more do I want to do? Is it travel? Is it doing other hobbies? Like what other hobbies do I have? Like, like golf is one of those things that I'm trying to get better at. because now I don't play basketball anymore. So I'm just like trying to figure out more of myself and learning. And it's actually crazy that I'm going through this at 27 when I should have been doing it at 20. From when I started my entrepreneurship career, like at 18 to now, have attached my worth to business, bro. Crazy. Like, man, this feels therapeutic, bro. You know what I mean? I'm talking about therapy, and I'm like talking about, man, like I don't know who I am outside of like building businesses and being an entrepreneur, because that's what I've attached myself to.
Mm-hmm. And that's the tripwire that I'm starting to find, is that especially now working from home, you can literally work on your business all day, right? Where before you could be the person who's working at Starbucks, who's, working at the WeWorks, the co-working space, building their own thing. But now you're at home, so you can literally spend from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep on it. And that can make you wrap your whole self within it. So if it goes up, it goes up. And then once it goes down, you go really down. And that's the threat. That's the tripwire that you really have to, Charlemagne had a phrase: if you live by the praise, you die by the booze. Yeah. And that's the thing. Speaking of
on that, right?
Go ahead.
How does someone, if you have mastered this, detaching yourself? Well,
I have not.
It's a work in progress from what I'm seeing. What are 3 things that you can offer to someone who's an entrepreneur, who's building like the e-commerce business or any business at all, to detach themselves from detaching the self-worth from what they're building?
Measure your self-worth holistically, for one. That's I think the most important. Measure yourself holistically, so it is not just in your business, but in you as a person, your personality, the way you treat the people around you in your business and outside, your family, your parents, your friends. That's the most important one. Recognize that what's happening is happening to the business that is an entity, and not to you, the ship, the captain of the ship, right? So recognize that if your ship reaches its destination, then that's a win. And if your ship reaches an iceberg, your ship reaches an iceberg, but not you, right? So that's the real difference, I think. It's not even a 3 thing. It's more like one really, exactly. Or maybe 2. Yeah. So that's what I would think. Some people need to realize that it's the ship that you're steering and not you that you're steering. So yeah, put it like that. Speaking of ship, man, and speaking of something that is getting praise,
the
Dogecoin is getting a ton of praise. You know what I'm saying? You're on the Dogecoin right now. I know you're investing in it. You got in.
Doge Army, baby.
Talk to me, bro. How you feeling about the Dogecoin right now?
A couple wildcard episodes ago, we spoke about, this is what happened with GameStop, and you asked me, you're like, hey, yo, are you getting into Dogecoin? Are you getting into, at the time we didn't even know how to, we don't know how to pronounce the name, like Doggy. It's like Doge. You said Doggy.
I said Doggy?
Bro, it was so harmless. That's like, I don't think you meant it as like, yo, Doge, like, you're calling it, but like, what is this thing? Dogecoin, Doge, Dodge. You're trying to figure out the pronunciation. I don't think you called it Doggy, but for jokes, we called it Doggy at the time, right? So at the time, I was like, hey, look, this whole GameStop thing, it just shows you like how the market swings. You don't know what makes the market go like this. It's also, GameStop had fundamentals like why people were doing it, but with Dogecoin, it was seen as a meme coin. It started as a joke. And when I looked at it, I was like, hey, man, I'd rather invest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and etc. At the time, I was like, man, I don't know enough about it to like put my money behind it. So lately, I've been really about the Doge. I have been. I've been about the Doge, the doggy and everything. And simply because I feel like, one, I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit of FOMO, right? I don't want to miss out on something. And 2, I think the reason why Doge is picking up the way it's picking up steam is because if you look at other like coins out there, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tron, Litecoin, whatever. They all have like a purpose behind it. It's all serious. A lot of people are like offering it as an altcoin to it becoming a Bitcoin. Hey, you didn't get on Bitcoin before or Ethereum? Hey, here's like an altcoin that you can get in now. You can buy 5,000 of them. And hopefully in about 10 years, 5 to 10 years, it could be worth like 30, 40 bucks and you can recoup some of that money. The thing with Doge though is that it's seen as the coin of the people, meaning that all these guys like started it out as a joke, right? And now it's seen as like, okay, now that there's no pressure or anything about it, it's causing more people to rally behind it. And you compare these other coins like Tron specifically, they were trying so hard to get it to like $2, $3. They were getting celebrity endorsements all about it because they're like, okay, we need people to rally behind this coin so we can drive up the price. The thing with Doge though is that a lot of people are now seeing it as just like, hey, this is a fun coin. This is like it's like a meme coin. And the fact that that comes without it, it's kind of like you're revolting against the establishment of what like the true cryptocurrency market is all about. Like people are serious about it, and this is like now the other side of it. And I compare it to like I think Graham Stephan on YouTube said it perfectly. It's like when Will Rogers won his presidency at the time, meaning that he came in as like playing it as a joke. He's like, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna run for the sake of it. I'm not even trying to win. And by him trying not to win, it actually allowed people to feel relatable to him and feel closer to him as he's the man of the people. And he ended up winning. So Doge is taking this lightheartedness side of crypto, and people are resonating with that and want to have fun with it. And that's why it's like rallying behind it. That's why even Elon Musk, he knows it's a joke, but he is all about the Doge because it's fun. It's not like Litecoin or whatever, because these guys are like, we're going to get to whatever. But the Doge founders are not even part of the coin anymore as they were before. They're just kind of like, hey, we made this a fun thing. It is what it is. And now it's picking up steam. And now you're seeing a lot more use cases being developed for Doge. And it's actually being taken as a serious cryptocurrency now.
Yeah, Mark Cuban invested a ton in it,
he
right?
Probably like eight. This guy's on YouTube, like the guy I told you earlier. He maxed out all his credit cards at like close to 20 grand. And now he's at 2.5 million. And tonight on SNL, right? When you guys are listening to this, like wow. Elon Musk would have gone on SNL. And everybody's going to be looking at their portfolio tonight, like refreshing. And if he mentions Doge at least like a couple times, bro, the thing will pass like $1. Like it might be at like 110. And then it's going to come back, but it's going to stay within like the 70 cents range after SNL. But people just want to get $1 and then cash out.
So, you think that's the output for everybody? Is the dollar?
People bought. Like, imagine when this thing was like worth nothing, man. You just like put like you could have been putting $100 at the time, and you've gotten like 700, 800 coins, and now like it touches like $1. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a come up for some people.
That's a fact. That's definitely a come up. Man, honestly,
and this is why I don't get it, bro. Why are you so
it.
Like, why aren't you not about it? Like, let me try $50 at least.
I'm not letting the FOMO get to me. I want to practice not letting FOMO get to me. I want to stick to my standards. Right now, I'm investing in Bitcoin, Ethereum, a few stocks, a few ETFs, and that's it. I want to keep it very simple, stick to the basics, one track mind, and get to the money that way. That's my mindset.
What if Doge
right
becomes something legit?
And
do you feel like you'll be kicking yourself if it becomes $5 when you could have bought it at 80 cents?
Nah, because I made the decision, and I'm going to live with it. Like for instance, I told you before that, I had this idea of, way back when that guy sold the pizza to, bought the pizza with Bitcoin. I saw that video go live on YouTube way back when. And I was like, yo, I should tell my client to take money in Bitcoin as well. And he sells high-end suits. So that would have been 4,000 Bitcoin at the time.
What year?
Right? Which is
what year was this
worth,
again?
Like, I don't even know how much money that was. This is like 2012, 2013.
Give some context.
It was
to that
very
story,
easy.
Like just
it's
like
not very,
for
it's
the
very
audience to,
early,
like,
very early on. So, got you. So, years and years ago, a guy made a YouTube video about the early stages of Bitcoin, where he was trying to find ways of purchasing Bitcoin in the real world. And at the time, Bitcoin was bubbling, and there was a lot of hype around it. So I noticed that whichever business mentioned Bitcoin, that it was accepting Bitcoin, their sales would skyrocket. So as a marketer, I was like, all right, I should put my clients on this so they could reap those benefits. And I thought that idea, but I was like, he's kind of old, so maybe not. It might be a hard sell, right? And at the time, he sold like a pizza for 18 Bitcoin. He was selling it like a 1-to-1 ratio to the US dollar at the time. It was, or something similar to that. So if I was to do that and had introduced Bitcoin to my client at the time, he would have sold, if he could have sold one suit, and he sells 4 to 5 suits a day at the time, that would have been 4,000 Bitcoin. 4,000 Bitcoin. And that's a lot of money now, right?
How much is that? Like, if we do the math, let's say 62K.
Yeah.
4,000.
Exactly. 62K times 4,000. How much is that?
What's a quarter billion, bro?
A quarter billion. So he would have been laughing.
248 million. He would have been eating, bro. He would have been living on bridle path, those areas.
So, and I look back at that and I'm like, listen, man, if my uncle had a vagina, he'd be my auntie. You can't live by the ifs and if, woulda, coulda, shouldas. Can't live by that. You gotta just keep moving forward. That's how I live my life.
When Gary Vee says, he talks about how he could have invested in Uber. Like, how many times has he given that story? Mm-hmm. And then he offers a actually great perspective. He says, look, I could have invested that 200K into Uber, but I bought an apartment for my family and I. And let's say when I did that, now I'm taking a trip with Travis and Garrett, who are like the founders of Uber, to South Africa, and I get hit by a truck. So there's like a different spiral of like different decisions you make, which could have actually ended up in catastrophe. It could have been the end of your mortality. You're faced it right then and there. So it's when you put things like that, it gives you perspective. You're like, you know what? I'm actually on the actual divine path that I was supposed to be on. But still you feel that loss of like, man, if I had made that decision, I could have had 100K. And I also had one of those opportunities, bro. Like, I remember I had about $10,000 and I decided to, like, you know what, let me just start investing this, pay off my whatever. And there's like one stock which I just caught on. It was like $1 at the time. So I invested money in it. It rallied up to $4. But then I remember that night I was like, man, if I just invested like 5K in it, like, this is how your mind works. Like, you start thinking, like, man, if I just put in this much money in it, I'd have like made like 70K, right? And you beat up yourself for it. And now you're like chasing the dragon, getting that feeling of, hey, let me get that feeling of the high. I think everybody's always chasing that like high of, I just got like 300K by just this one move, right? And every single day you're trying to get that one move. And that was like the GameStop debacle, right? Everybody saw like the gold rush. It's like, let me get in this, let me whatever, because life is so hard, bro, that you're just trying to get that one time where you can just eat and just like, yes, I can at least alleviate some pressure. I've got like 50, 60K in my pocket. I know my boy did GameStop. He got like 40K and he'll probably never have another opportunity like that for some time in the market. So it's a win or a lose. It's like either like you play, you win, you play, you lose, or you just watch and you just time your opportunity, which is like more calculated with less risk, which is, as you said, ETFs, Bitcoin, Ethereum, solid fundamentals, high upside, just wait it out.
Exactly. How was GameStop for you? Because you got in with GameStop. Did you end up selling? Like, what was your conclusion?
No, I didn't end up getting GameStop. Like,
you didn't?
I
thought you got it.
No, it was the other stocks like Nokia, AMC. AMC I made about like $120, but that was it. Nothing really like I can flash like on Twitter like, oh my god, like I made a killing. I made a killing, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just yeah. But I desire that time, bro. Like I desire making a killing in the market, but if you look at historically the market, you can't win like that. It's super hard. You just gotta be smart about it and just eat slowly.
That's a fact. So what else is new with you, man? What's been on your mind lately?
You know, we're seeing the growth of podcasting.
Oh yeah.
With platforms getting subscription tiers built into it. You know, I want to hear your thoughts on it. You know, we're building hustle over everything. Now we're seeing Spotify, Apple bring in, you know, you can actually get your audience to pay. How do you see that shaping out in, you know, the coming years?
Man, I've been telling you that like we should make our audience pay more, you know. If you guys don't know, we are on Patreon, so make sure you go subscribe to us on Patreon. You know. Honestly, I think it's the loss of the big guys, the Andrew Schultzes of the world, the Joe Buddens of the world. They're looking at that and saying, oh, there's a trend here. We need to deal with that. And they're making decisions for that so they don't lose the artists, the creators who can make that move to Patreon. So people who have the hardware will stay on Apple, will stay on Spotify because those are the big krakens right now. There's still a barrier to go from Apple to go to Patreon, right? So Apple instinctively saying, hey, let's try and kill Patreon by having this, you know, new model to get people to stay on the platform. At the end of the day, the goal is to keep people on the platform. You know, they're measured by the average revenue per user. So if they can get people on the platform for longer, then why not? Like I said, I predict everyone's going to get into podcasts. Netflix is going to have podcasts on their show soon, on their platform soon. They already have, I think, Okay Now Listen, right? With Scotty Beam. Shout out to Scotty Beam, man. I think she's probably one of the top 5 Black women creators on the planet, you know? So yeah, I think that's the real thing, that getting more people to stay on the platform. That's the goal. 'Cause, you know, everyone got to eat. Everyone got to get creative with the way they're making money. So honestly, I think that, you know, we should start creating a subscription soon, but we can talk about that offline, man, and exactly how we're going to do that, because it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing with Patreon, right? It's like asking the whole thing about Patreon is like getting someone to go sign up for Patreon and then subscribe to you on that. It's the behavior is just like new to them. Like, okay, what is Patreon? Like, how does it work? How's my money going to be coming out? Am I even going to be going to Patreon to watch this stuff? So it's like for the super, super, super diehards. But for the casual listeners who just want to, hey, I support Alex and Owen on their podcast and I'm already on Spotify. Boom. Like I'll pay. It's already part of my Spotify subscription. I can just add it on top of that. It's already on my card. I know it's tiered to this and that and that. Boom. Keep it moving. So I see the benefits of that. I think where Apple needs to get better at is creating that platform which shows you the subscription behind it. Like, how many subscribers do you have, right? Like, people want to know these things, especially when you go to advertisers. You want to know there's how many subscribers we have. You can say downloads, but how many people are subscribed to your show, which I think Apple's going to get better at and develop. It's crazy, bro. Like, Apple's been in podcasting for so long, but it's just been like a little side project for them. They're like, all right, guys, here's podcasting. You can do this thing. And it was they didn't really think much of it. But now podcasting is like the new thing, right? And, you know, I kind of hate it, bro. You know why? Because every time I say I podcast, I have a podcast, I'm now seen as like the people who are just trying to hop on this wave. But like I've been about podcasting like from 2017. I didn't take it as serious, but I was doing it, right? And I just don't want to look as if like a guy who's following the trend. All right. The trends, bro. Like I hate it. I hate that, man. It's even like with entrepreneurship. Like you say someone, I'm a tech entrepreneur. You're now put in a place where now they think that you are following along with like whatever. That's with podcasting. And now like, oh, you're just like another podcaster who just started podcasting because of the pandemic. Like, come on, yo, pay some respects.
We've been doing it before the pandemic. The pandemic just got to us, you know? Well, for when we started literally right before the pandemic, which is crazy because now everybody's starting because of the pandemic. But now you've been rocking for a minute. You have been on the podcast wave for a minute. So definitely got to give you your respect.
Yeah, man. Most and definitely. You know what? Just to share this with you, man, I actually don't know why I started podcasting, to be honest with you. I really don't know how I got here. It was more of I think I was listening to a lot of Taxstone, Brilliant Idiots, The Read, Comeback Jack, R.I.P.
You listened to The Read?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
I was listening to like the whole Loudspeakers Network podcasts. Premium Pete Show. I was like religiously I was listening to podcasts more than songs. So a lot of people usually, man, like you should get into podcasting because you're always like sharing positive vibes and messages. And well, you know what? Let me give it a shot. Then one morning I just woke up and I got an Anchor ad. This one Anchor was just brand new. They hit me with it. I'm like, oh, let me check it out. I was like, oh, you can start a podcast. You get pushed out into our platforms. Boom, let's do it. And started with it. People were like, yo, I kind of like it. And it just kept me going and going and going and going. Then after Sneaker Deck and all that debacle was over, I was like, all right, let's start this podcasting thing and just take it serious.
You know what is interesting is even Facebook and now is getting into the podcast space. I don't know if you know this, but I think Facebook is gearing up to have podcasts live on the platform. Because like I said, you know, an hour on the platform, that's a lot of time for ads. It's a lot of time for companies to make money. So yeah, I'm seeing all of the companies move. So I think we're at a good position right now. If you don't have a podcast, I think it's a necessary thing for your business because you don't even have to have a long podcast like we do. You can have one for a minute, 15 minutes, et cetera, where you can even batch a few and just have a scripted, 10-minute podcast where you just talk about something specific and get out of there and have that dropped once a week. And have that as a lead gen model for your business. It's an easy strategy, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on it just because they think it's too much work or they don't want to join the trend because they have some type of ego. But yeah, put your ego aside and come join us. It's good on this side for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
it's gonna be interesting to see how it grows.
Did you hear about Amazon?
Amazon. No. What's going on there?
So Amazon just paused their Prime Day event because of the COVID outbreaks they're having. So it's
Prime Day.
Getting interesting.
Prime Day is like when they
Prime Day.
All Prime members get like a major deals on stuff on Amazon, right?
Yeah. So reading CTV right now, Amazon pauses Prime Day event in Canada amid COVID-19 outbreaks at warehouses. So, it's an interesting thing that, with COVID, we're all at home ordering online, but the people who are in those warehouses are working hard, So, yeah, it's unfortunate. And speaking of that, though, which businesses do you see going crazy once the pandemic opens? Who do you see making the biggest bounce back?
When you ever ask me these questions, I'm so, unprepared, bro. Because I'm just thinking man, I'll let you take the lead on this because I can't really think of a business that's gonna just snap once the pandemic. And when is the pandemic over? Right? Is it a year from now? When is it truly over? What really establishes the pandemic is over now? Is it when we're not wearing masks anymore and everybody is essentially vaccinated?
Yeah, I think that's it. Is when everyone's vaccinated so they can start business again. then they'll have the means to. Well, I think once the airports is completely open, then I guess we could say the pandemic is over. Actually, that's actually a tough question. I don't think that's right either. I feel like once everything is back open, every last thing is back open, then
so it's like the status of pre-pandemic. Like we can go to the restaurant, we can chill at the patio, we can go to we can fill up the arena, we can actually go watch a Raps game. You get me? That is like I associate that with the pandemic is over. Like when I see people at the Scotiabank Arena with no masks and it's at full capacity, now I'm like, okay, we're back. That's what I associate with we're back.
Exactly. What was I saying? We were talking about the pandemic, and yeah, I think Airbnb is gonna come back stronger than ever. I think Airbnb is I think I might have to purchase some Airbnb stock because they're gonna kill once the pandemic opens up, for sure.
And the thing is, I've heard they've been actually they've been performing better during the pandemic than they were just pre-pandemic.
I don't know about better, but I think they bounced back. They figured out some ways, they do some virtual events, they do experiences. They found ways to make money throughout the pandemic. This is just me speaking off the top of my head, freestyling, but I definitely think that they're figuring out ways to still keep a profit through the pandemic. So I think they're gonna really thrive though. Once people can travel again, Airbnbs are gonna start booming. Like we've never seen before. Just thinking about it, we're thinking about going to the States, to Florida or Atlanta or something like that. Where are we gonna stay? You're gonna stay in an Airbnb most likely instead of a hotel.
Yeah, Atlanta, Georgia, bro. That's where it's at.
Yeah, man.
It's open. Open
all the way. Florida's open all the way. There's concerts going on right now. It's insane. That's what I think is the worst thing.
Miami, bro.
Is seeing the rest of the world open up right now. How are you feeling mentally with that? Seeing the world open up and we here chilling.
Dog. I'm just kind of I'm seeing guys in the gym lifting, in the gym doing their thing. And I'm like, yo, I'm here at home with my kettlebell. I'm seeing guys like Ayo, the guys we met at Afrotech. They're partying it up. Yeah, they're partying, they're eating, they're living that festivals. I'm seeing you got those uncles in the barbecue, when you see mans with the black gloves on and they're barbecuing, it's serious. So I'm seeing them living like that. I'm seeing all the honeys just out, just having a vibe in ATL. I'm like, yo. And I look out my window, it's gloomy as hell. It's all locked down. There's no
word. And even the weather, the weather right now in May is gloomy as hell. The weather's on quarantine here too. You know what I'm saying? I'm just I'm an unsatisfied customer.
The sun is masked.
Exactly.
The sun is masked.
I'm an unsatisfied customer with Canada right now. I put this post earlier on my IG of is Canada at risk for brain bleed, right? And everyone voted, not everyone, but most people voted yes. And
I voted yes. I voted to your thing.
I think we're actually in a bit of trouble right now because I think a lot of people were sent listen, the real estate's expensive. The opportunities are starting to dry up. I don't have any kids. Why am I here? And Florida's opened up. Atlanta's opened up. Houston's opened up. Why not just go there for 3 months, see if I can find something, and see what I can do. So I think we're at trouble of a brain bleed right now.
Yeah, man.
With our new working class economy, and the thing is too is that I think what's very interesting is how are people gonna monitor, if I go to States right now, right, and work virtually in Canada, how does that work? Do I get taxed as a Canadian now? Do I get taxed as an American? It's an interesting thing because you can work virtually worldwide.
If you go virtually, I think it just has to be your place of residence and where your work, where you're employed from, So I think this is just me shooting off the top of my head, but when you're employed, you're filling out your T5s and everything for your tax documents. So when they're paying you, they're okay, you're under the Ontario laws, like you're paying tax laws under Ontario. So you'll be paying Canadian. But the thing with us, man, we can go to the States and we can stay up to 6 months without a visa.
6 months?
So we're like on visiting. So we go there.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So 6 months, if you like leave the country for some time, you have to come back in. So you keep your status if you don't have like a work visa or whatever. So if we go to the States, right, we can go there for 2 months. And I'd like when we're crossing the border, we're at the airport, like, hey, this is what's the nature of your trip? We're going to be here for 2 months. Then we're coming back to Canada, and whatever. So we can do that. We can go to Miami. We can go to Atlanta. We can go to Texas, chill for a bit, like still keep our status here, wait till things cool down. And then we're back to Canada. Mm-hmm. That sounds like you know, bro. You know what I really like? When I just said that whole speech right now, I'm like, what the hell are we not doing that? I'm just like, why am I here?
Exactly,
bro. I was walking outside today. I was like looking at them. I was like, man, this is so shit. It's like, and I'm just. This is so shit, bro. And I'm just like, man, I need to be in Miami, bro. I need to be in South Beach or something like that. I can't do this anymore. Yeah. This is so crap. Like, what's the point of living downtown if you can't even
yeah, exactly. Live? The whole point of moving to the city was for the opportunity and the experience. You know? And when both of those go, why am I still here? Right? So, honestly, and the thing is, when I thought about that, I was like, man, if I'm thinking this, everyone's thinking this. And this must be like the consistent thought with everybody. Knowing that people are doing, you know, secret parties, secret house parties and everything, because they're fed up.
People are fed up.
They are fed up. I saw one person do a whole stripper party in their basement on Six Buzz, and I was like, yo, holy, it's nuts out here. So, yeah, man. The thing is, the only thing
people are trying to find
exactly. The only thing for me is that I have asthma, you know, and COVID is a asthma attacking virus, you know. So that's the only thing that makes me nervous is that, like, hey, if I go there, I'm putting myself at a risk, you know, like I'm gambling with life.
You are risk.
So that's the only thing.
So, yo, let me ask you this, bro. So one thing that I've been noticing is a lot of people, once they get their COVID vaccine, they feel compelled to share that they got vaccinated. It's starting to feel like a religion that getting vaccinated is a thing. So what are your thoughts on people, you know, sharing on social media that they got vaccinated?
I think that's fine. Okay, explain to me the religion part.
Okay, so the vaccine, like, think about it, bro. Like, whenever you got vaccinated for some other thing, it's just like, boom, like, you go on, you do whatever. There's no need to, like, share that you got, like, vaccinated or something like that. But, like, now COVID, it's creating, like, a culture of now we are sharing, like, got vaccinated or whatever. And people who haven't gotten vaccinated or who have thoughts, I was like, I don't know, like, I'm like, I see the use case of the vaccine, but I'm unsure yet. I'm not gonna, like, get the vaccine yet. I'll wait it for a bit and then I'm gonna go do it. Right. So there's like a lot, there's people who are hesitant, and then there's people who are like, I'm about it. I'm gonna go do it and whatever. There's two sides to the story. So now you have the vaccinated people, or who are like 100% on board with, like, getting it right away. They're not looking down on the people who are still unsure of whether to get the vaccine or not. They're like, I don't know about it. I'm going to wait and see about it. Like, I'm not comfortable getting the vaccine yet. And they have a right to feel like that because they've been okay. They've been healthy. They've been doing their part. They've been wearing a mask. I'm like, man, I'm like okay right now. Like, what am I really curing if I've been out with a lot of people and I haven't gotten it haven't gotten COVID. So now you have the vaccinated people who are not getting the vaccine, who have gotten the vaccine or who are planning on getting it. They've made arrangements for it. They are now looking down on people who are still iffy about it, right? Meaning like now, like there's like a group of people who have like this energy towards people who are like unsure about it. They're like, why are you not sure about it? Just get the vaccine. Like it's like a feeling of like now like they're pressuring the people who are on the fence to get the vaccine. So that's why I call it like it's taking like a religious kind of like feeling to it, like a cult like way of things of going about it. And when I see people promoting, oh, I got vaccinated, I feel like now it's adding that pressure to people who are not vaccinated or who are still hesitant about it. It's not like they're anti-vaxxers. Like I'm not saying that like that. Like they understand the nature of vaccines, but they have a right to feel as if, man, this has been under a year. This thing is like, I'm being told to get this vaccine. I haven't felt sick. I haven't done whatever. I'm going to wait it out. I'm going to feel it out for a bit. So now they're getting pressure from the other side to do that. And yesterday, I was just kind of like walking around and this kind of made me feel like this. And I was coming upstairs and one of my neighbors, we were coming up together. We live on the same floor. And he looks at me. I'm about to go in the door. He's just like, oh, like, have you made your arrangement for your, like, are you like, oh, like, bro, like, when are you getting your vaccine?
Casually?
Whatever, right?
That's a bit much.
Casually ask.
That's a bit much.
That's a bit much, right? I was kind of like, bro, that's kind of, I get you're worried, but that's my business.
Yeah, for sure.
You get me? Like, and it kind of is like, man, see, that's what I'm saying. Like now people just feel the need to like ask someone where they're standing in this vaccine spectrum. It's kind of like politics. Oh, like, who are you with? They kind of like decide where you're at socially so they can know to like whether to mess with you or not. And I've also seen it with dating too. People are disqualifying people because they're not vaccinated yet. They're like, oh, like you're not going out with me because you're not like vaxxed. You're like, I'm vaxxed and waxed or whatever. Like that's like a line. People are like kind of making, you're like, I just can't wait to get vaxxed and waxed and I'm going to be out here like back in the patio. Like that's, you know, it's kind of taking a joke thing like that, you know? So that's my beef with it. It's taking a political way of things where people are using it to see where you are standing on the spectrum of where we're in right now.
All right. So for me, my perspective is a little bit different because I'm getting inside information from both sides of people in the government and people that are working at the nursing departments. So like, I understand. First of all, actually, before we get into that person was very into your business, trying to ask for your vaccine information. I feel like you don't have the right to ask somebody that you don't know. Like you don't know this person.
I was speechless, bro.
Yeah, like you asking for rent prices is a lot, you know. But asking what you're doing with your body,
how much you paying?
Yeah, that's
rent?
A lot for a neighbor to ask, right? But that's are you vaccinated or not is a bit weird. I think that's definitely overstepping the boundary. For one, for me personally, when it comes to the vaccine, I get why people want to scream it out loud because they're so ready to be free. You know, I get why people were sharing on social media, and it is like a marketing thing. You know, a vax and wax. I saw one that's vaxxed and ready to F. You know, I saw a few of those. So like, I get what you're saying about that. It's becoming political. It's becoming marketing. So yeah, I get it. Personally though, I can understand why people don't want to get it as well. It's one of the most rushed vaccines we've ever seen in history. You know, and as a Black American, you know, I can see a lot of people I can see why a lot of Black Americans, pardon me, would have a lot of, you know, worries and doubts. Like if you look at the, you know, Tuskegee experiments, Yeah, where they were shooting people up with syphilis. Like there has been a history of America using things like vaccines to, endanger people. So I can understand why they'd have apprehension to getting a vaccine, And the thing is as well, especially for Canadians, that, right now we're in a stage where the government can't pay if everyone gets sick, That's why we're on lockdown. That's my theory of why we're on lockdown. It's my own personal theory, So with that, and the vaccine, if it...
To interrupt you, bro, real quick. That's an interesting point. Like they can't pay for everyone. Expand on that and just give more context, like background into what it means for someone who doesn't really understand.
Well, we're all on OHIP, right? We're all, the contract that government has given to us is that, there's a public healthcare system that if we get sick, we can go to the hospitals, right? But if the hospitals get overwhelmed, what's going to happen? How are they going to make the proper arrangements? If too much people are dying, if too many people are sick, the hospitals could get overwhelmed, and that could destabilize the structure of how we're operating the society. So that's my theory. We're speaking in theories here, but that's why I think we're still in lockdown. And whereas in Florida, they're like, hey, listen, we don't have that kind of contract with you, so we can be open. If you get sick, you get sick. So that's why I think we're still under lockdowns, because the hospitals can't cover it. So we're one of the most populated cities in the country. So that's why I think like we're still on lockdown, because if it spreads, and right now we have another variation of COVID-19, right?
Is it the Brazilian variant or something?
The European one. That's super contagious. You can get it through like in your eyes and stuff like that. Apparently, like it's insane.
Oh my
God. So with that, it makes sense why the government has to shut people down. Now I lost my train of thought on the other point though. What was I talking about on that point?
The Rush vaccine.
Yeah, the Rush vaccine. Thank you. So with that, it makes sense that people can have apprehension to getting it. So I understand where they're coming from. But like when the time comes, I think I'm gonna get vaccine, bro. Like a vaccinated part of me. I think I'm gonna get it. Cause I want to go see my mom. No, she's not yet. But bro, the nursing situation is going crazy right now. Like, right now nurses are still getting paid the same salary, or maybe like a smidge of a bump. Whereas in the U.S., nurses are getting paid out the wazoo, because there's things set in place. And it's unfortunate that like doctors are taking on nursing roles right now, but are getting paid doctor salaries, right? So it's unfortunate what's going on. I think there's definitely an opportunity to give better pay to nurses. So shout out to the nurses out there. But yeah, man. Yeah, that's what's going on.
And getting these paid sick days here in Ontario.
Yeah, that's another thing. Paid sick days need to be
starving.
Exactly. So that's what's going on with that, man. Man, what else we got? What else is on your mind lately?
That was it, man. That's like one thing I just kind of felt like super bothered by is the need to promote that they got vaccinated. And yeah, some people might not be ready for it. Like I'm still like waiting for a good time. Just kind of, I just don't want to like rush into it. And people are just so, there's like, yo, give me this shit. Like, let me move on with my life and let me go. And people are like, man.
People are having side effects.
And then the problem is like, yeah, people are having side effects. Like the Johnson & Johnson one was causing some blood clots, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some people passed away taking the vaccine.
Really?
So, yeah. Wow. There was like a City News TV story on it.
Wow.
Someone died from the vaccine.
That's crazy.
So, and this is City News TV, legit. Like, this isn't some blogger saying this.
Or podcaster.
So, I just don't, or podcaster. Like, I just don't like the division that the vaccination process is making people feel, especially when I got ambushed by my neighbor, like if I'm vaccinated or not. Like Ross.
Yeah, like that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Jamie, can you look up City News TV story? Can you do that for me, please?
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah,
we need an online Jamie, bro.
Without a doubt. We need some interns. Yeah, man, it's a crazy life we live in right now. But yo, we gotta entertain that thought, man. Like of getting out of here, having the pod from Atlanta, Florida, Houston, Texas, something like that. You gotta think about it.
It has to be Miami, bro. Miami. I've been dreaming about, like, I don't know what it is about Miami.
Yeah.
I just see myself like with like my button shirt like loose a little bit halfway, my chest hair out. Just vibes, bro.
Yeah. You know what's funny you say that? I was talking to Bernard and he's like, yo, I have a house in Miami. Oh no, in Florida, in Tampa. If you guys ready, just say the word. We got you. And I was like, really?
Word.
Fam, don't tease us with a good listen. I'll take you up on that, eh? And it's like, listen, man, it ain't nothing. And I was like, but
Tampa though, bro. Tampa is like, it's nice, but it's not.
I've never been to Tampa. What's Tampa like? I have no idea. You been to Tampa?
It's a city, bro. But it's not South Beach though.
It's not South Beach. I hear that South Beach is overrated. Because it's so
really?
like tourist overran. Yeah, that's the rumor I'm hearing from people trying to go to Miami.
And the thing is, I don't know if you were saying it yesterday, but people from, or was it Rodney Jeremy, saying people from LA are coming to Toronto.
Yeah, I'm still shocked by that. Like right now,
I saw like currently. A big YouTuber. Yeah, a big YouTuber like who's Canadian, was in LA, but she came down to Toronto. She moved back to the city.
Who's that?
Her name is like Tara Michelle or something like that. She was doing like an apartment decoration type of thing. And I was like, oh, let me see like, any ideas. And she was like, yeah, I came from LA and back in Toronto. I was like, oh. So like when Jeremy yesterday said that people from LA are coming back, I was so shocked. I was like, why? It's LA. And then another thing is like people are coming to Toronto. Americans want to come here. So I'm like, what do you guys want to do here, man? This is whack.
Well, currently it's whack.
Currently it's whack.
Once we open up back, the city's gonna be on a wave. It sucks because the city was on such a wave like last year and the year before. But
start getting our own energy. Like a lot of, you know how we aspire to be Americans? Americans were aspiring to be us. Toronto.
Facts. Facts.
Makes you feel proud of being a Torontonian.
Word. Speaking of Toronto and the apartments, man, Den has been killing it on those apartment tours. Have you seen those on YouTube?
Yeah, the one he showed you, like apartments under 3K or something like that.
Yeah,
they're like killing it.
Shout out to Stephen Den, man. Shout out to Stephen Dennis. Pardon me, Den. Dennis, pardon me. I keep saying because the name is Stephen Den, so I keep saying Dennis and Den. I keep mixing the two up, but Dennis, shout out to you, bro. Yeah, I've been like watching all of those like religiously. So those have been really cool, seeing what's actually out there. I'm thinking about moving myself. I can't wait to get out this condo. We bought it out of the thinking that we're going to be in and out consistently, and now we're in only. So
now you're in, and you need space, bro. I was also looking too. I'm like, yo, like I could get a den for the price I'm paying here, and it allows me to do my work. I feel like, to be honest with you, bro, even though I moved out from Casimir, I was in my room with my table in my room. And I feel like all day I'm spending time in my room and I sleep here. I like to separate divisions, have divisions. I have my bedroom, I have my living room, and I have my den where I work. That's podcasting. This is my bedroom. This is my sanctuary. I can go to bed. But I feel like I'm living in a new spot, but like it's still the same life I was living, where I'm on my computer, my bed is behind me. You feel me?
Yeah. Hey, man, you just got your own spot, man. Listen, I can't. Your spot's pretty nice, man. Like you got.
I'm not. That's why I'm not even saying much, bro. That's why I'm just kind of quiet. I'm like, you know what? As much as I would like that, I am blessed to be here, bro. You get me?
Facts. Without a doubt. But listen, man, we giving y'all an hour. You know what I'm saying? Make sure to check us out on Instagram if you haven't followed us already. Tap in at 24/7 Hustler. On Twitter, it's at 27 Hustlers. Make sure you cop some merch at hustleovereverything.co. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you support the brand. We got t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, merch, dad hats, notebooks,
mugs, shower curtains. If you need like a shower, like a bathroom mat, we got that. We got socks. Spring is coming. We got raincoat there too.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
We got everything you need, man.
Word. But yeah, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the hustle is what you can control. So control your grind and control your life. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen.
And that's Hustle Over Everything Podcast. Peace, y'all.
Peace out.
Boom. Thank you so much for listening. The conversation continues on our Instagram at 24/7 Hustler. We post very frequently. And be sure to check out our merch at hustleovereverything.co. We have some amazing sweaters, hats, mugs, and a lot more. Lastly, our Proud to Pay program is linked in the description below. Thank you so much for your support. Talk to you next Monday. Peace.